Hello everybody! Welcome back to the channel for a mailbag question. A couple weeks ago, I think actually last month, I reached out to people on Twitter to find out if they had any questions related to food, nutrition, or cooking. And today we're going to be covering question number 2, which comes from @ArrogantTwat. And Twatty's question is,
for someone who isn't a good cook but enjoys being in the kitchen, could you explain appropriate uses for various kinds of oils? Not only health differences, but how they react to heat and various ingredients. Vegetable versus EVOO versus avocado versus butter, etc.
wow, this is a big question. I've been sitting on this question for a while. Partially because there's going to be a section coming up in the culinary boot camp series that covers a lot about oils, but I thought I would find some different ways to elaborate for this specific question. So here we go. Okay. First, let's start with fat types, and that is the source of the fat or oil that you are using. So the kinds of fats and oils. I'm going to read through the list and I'm just going to put a red check mark on the ones you should avoid. So we have avocado, butter, canola, corn, cocoa butter, cottonseed oil, grapeseed oil, margarine, olive oil, palm oil, peanut oil, safflower oil, shortening, which includes Crisco and margarine, and soybean oil. Now, I understand it's very hard to avoid a lot of oils, especially the cheaper ones that are in processed food, or if you have to use a lower quality oil because of financial situations. So fat usually comes in 3 main types. The first type is a liquid fat, and that is usually derived from a nut, a seed oil, and sometimes fish oils. These oils are liquid at room temperature. Another form of fat is solid fat. Usually a solid fat is derived from an animal, and these fats are solid at room temperature, except in the summer when it's very, very hot, and then they tend to liquefy. And these include butter, shortening, beef fat, bacon drippings, lard, cocoa butter, coconut oil, and palm oil. The third form of a fat or oil is the spray oil, which is liquid oil that's been packaged under pressure, that has a pump or an aerosol. What I'm talking about is something like this. Now, I use this product very, very sparingly, and as the years go on, less and less. This has lasted me a really long time. What is contained in a product like this is mostly vegetable oils. And again, if I haven't said it yet, avoid vegetable oils, and I will say that over and over. Avoid canola oil, avoid corn oil, and I'll have a whole list for you further on of oils which are generally considered those that should be avoided. Now, among these types of oils are different processes for extracting those oils, and they include cold pressed oils, hot pressed oils, expeller pressed oils, refined oils, and unrefined oils. Most cold pressed oils are rich in vitamin E, which has anti-inflammatory properties, and oleic acid, which boosts your immunity. And among these, the best is cold pressed oils. Oils that you really, really want to avoid, if you can, are hot pressed oils. And those are oils that are created by applying high amounts of heat to the source. That heat process causes chemical reactions to happen that decrease any nutritional value there might be in oil, but in addition to that, creates compounds in it which can cause inflammation in the body, and at the source of almost all illness is inflammation. So that's kind of one of the reasons why I try to stay away from those kind of oils. Like I said, it's up to you. I'm not here to tell you to stop, I'm just here to give you the information. My favorite kind of oil is an avocado oil, which is pressed from the fruit of the avocado tree. And then we have butter, also one of my favorite ingredients. I'm gonna put this down. Now, some of these oils you won't find in your kitchen, like palm oil, that's more used in processing. There is some controversy around palm oil because it contributes to deforestation. So generally, if you're looking at food labels, you want to avoid anything that has palm oil in it if you can. Nut and seed oils are generally used for flavoring a cold dish or used as to finish off a dish right before serving, like a hot dish. Oils with a distinct taste should be chosen in order to enhance particular dishes. They can be too overpowering to use in general cooking. They also tend to be expensive. They are used best where a small amount is required. Canola oil is usually suitable for deep frying. Peanut oil is also a popular oil for deep frying. Some terms related to fat oils. So there's hydrogenation. And a hydrogenated oil, which is Crisco or margarine, has undergone a chemical process to transform a liquid oil into a solid oil by heating it in the presence of hydrogen and a nickel catalyst. Rancid is another term, and that refers to a complete or incomplete oxidization where a fat breaks down into smaller particles called fatty acid. This happens when a fat is exposed to air, light, moisture, and bacteria. This results in an unpleasant taste and odor of the oil. This is a common issue with nuts, nut oils, fish oils, and fats that are derived from meats. Smoke point is the most important term when it comes to knowing what to use in your pan. So smoke point means the burning point. That is the temperature an oil or fat begins to produce a continuous bluish smoke. It is best to choose an oil with a smoke point above 400 degrees Fahrenheit. The lower the smoke point, the faster it burns. Low smoke point oils are suitable for low temperature cooking, like with sauté. In the description below, I've put a list of the most common oils and their smoke points. Remember, you're looking for a high smoke point so that you don't burn your food. However, sometimes you want to combine a lower smoke point fat with a higher smoke point fat, such is the case with like a butter and a canola oil, or a butter and avocado oil, just to decrease the likeliness that it will burn in your pan. Just two last points on storage and safety. You always want to make sure that you're storing your fats in a dark bottle or in a dark place in a very tightly sealed container, and that should prolong the life of your oil. Now, I have a safety tip about oils, and that is that if an oil is heated too long in a pan, it may catch fire. And I have first-hand experience with this because last month I put something on the stove that had oil in it to preheat the pan, and I got up from my computer to check on it, and as I walked in the kitchen, it lit on fire and had to be thrown out the door into a snowdrift. So always make sure that if you have oil in a pan on your stovetop, overheat, that you pay attention to it because you could burn your house down. Now to recap, because I feel like there's a lot of information here and I may not have answered it clearly or completely, so let's recap what I talked about. The best oil or fat for cooking is an unrefined cold press expeller oil such as safflower, olive oil, or avocado oil. Or I'm gonna say also the best for cooking is an animal derived fat such as bacon drippings or butter. I'm a big fan of those. The best oil used for seasoning is an unrefined cold pressed nut oil like walnuts or macadamia nut oil, something like that. In addition, like specialty oils can also fall under this category of oils that you use for finishing, not for cooking or baking. Sesame seed oil is also a pretty decent oil, but sesame oil does tend to be refined. One of the important things to remember when cooking anything in fat or oil is that the oil or fat must be up to an appropriate temperature before you put the item into the oil, or the item will absorb the oil, and this will have a negative impact on the texture of the food and the flavor of the food. Another thing I just want to reiterate is reading the label. Any nut or seed oil can be cold or hot pressed, so make sure that you read the label. If it's not on the label, go to the website of the company and find out in the frequently asked questions area if there's any information about its processing. Now, I could go into fat and fat replacers today, specifically fat replacement in things like baked goods, but that is going to be discussed in an episode in the future, so I'm gonna skip that for today. Other than the smoke point, when you're considering what oil to use for your cooking project, the only other concerns are usually related to health outcomes when using those fats and oils. So I gave you a good list of ones to avoid. I hope this answered your question, Twatty. This was a really big subject. If I didn't answer your question or you need more clarification, please leave a message in the replies and I will answer that question for you or try to provide some clarification. Thank you for watching my video today. Please give it a thumbs up if it was at all helpful. And as always, have a wonderful day.